Today is Saturday. Where are they, all the people?
Saturday morning, especially early morning, having a rain. Very nice in the bed. Raining in the morning. Probably still in the bed. Samadhi in the bed.
It's called Pavanon.
Kavanon.
Pavana means practice. Non means lying down.
Lying down.
So what do you still want? You know, I mean, I told everything. Is it recording?
Yes.
They only know how to squeeze a lemon, but there's no lemon juice in it anymore. You squeeze too much, no juice.
Process it.
Huh?
Dry lemon.
Yeah, it's dry lemon, there's no juice anymore. Asking this, asking that. So what are you doing with your life, huh? It's your life. It's not my life. My life, I've done enough. Last 30 years. Practice very hard. You're already tired. That's not the way to Nibbana. Huh? There's no more juice, no more lemon. You squeezed it out already. Oh. After I go to Malay, I need three weeks of complete rest. He looks at me, doesn't believe me. Yeah? Everybody asks question, wants to know. Yeah. Takes all my energy. So what else is there that you want to know, huh? I mean, yesterday I explained everything. Over the last 3 days I explained everything. How to practice samadhi, how to investigate. What are the 10 fetters? I mean, what more do you need to know? You just want to be entertained, huh? I'm not a TV. You can turn on. Huh? Listening to a Dhamma talk is there, to get encouraged, to practice on your own, yeah? It's not there, to get entertained, yeah? I mean, if you started practicing, then studying the sutta is not important. If you haven't started practicing, then you read the suttas, to get encouraged, to start to practice. Once you start to practice, then reading the suttas is not important anymore. I mean, you know the path, yeah? I mean, if you studied the suttas before, you know the path, yeah? Or if you have a teacher, then you don't need, yeah? Ajahn Mahaprabhu didn't want to have any books in his monastery. Monks are there to practice, yeah? Not to study. I mean, if you want to study, you go to another monastery, yeah? I mean, just like everywhere, I mean, when you're born, you go to the kindergarten, yeah? Then you go to primary school, yeah? Then you go to high school, and then you go to university, yeah? And that's the same thing for practicing, yeah? For people, I mean, they need to go to the kindergarten, first, reading, or listening to the Dhamma, and starting to read the Dhamma, understand the Dhamma before they can start to practice, yeah? So there are different traditions, with different, at different levels, yeah? And there's a value for each, yeah? But most of you probably cannot distinguish which level they are on, this teacher says this, that teacher says that, I mean, and afterwards you're only confused, yeah? Huh? And that's your karma. I mean, I had the same problem, I mean, when I was in Germany or in England, there were so many different teachers, telling different things, yeah? But I had one advantage, I was listening with my heart and knew, this is right, this is not right. Because the heart tells you. And in the end, you have to leave Europe, yeah? Because my heart tells you this is not the right teaching. Yeah? Until I found a teacher, yeah? Where everything was okay. Until you find that teacher, then go. Then you don't need to go to another teacher, yeah? If you need to go to another teacher, I mean, then you get confused, the more confused, in the end you don't know and you give up practice. You find the teacher that you have trust in, and stay with him, until you don't trust him anymore, and then look for another teacher. Yeah? Not going around shopping like most of you. Huh? I mean, it's also shopping, it's Buddhism shopping, yeah? Let's try out this course, let's try out this teacher, let's try out that teacher. In the end, I mean, you just don't know what is what, yeah? Get a goal, and then find a teacher that shows you the path to that goal, yeah? And that's enough. Going window shopping, going here, yeah, going there, yeah. I mean, we have to support this, we have to support that, yeah. I mean, first of all, you have to support your chitta. Yeah? That's what you have to support. Yeah? I mean, giving donations is fine, I mean, supporting this monastery or monastery is fine, but you have to support your chitta first. Yeah? I mean, what's the point of supporting all these things? I mean, if your chitta is completely, confused. Support the right monasteries, yeah? Support the right monks. Don't need to support me because I'm not the right monk. Understood? Don't support them. Just a nuisance, yeah?
I have one meditation problem. I mean, the issue.
Yeah?
So, only it happens at times.
Yeah?
At home or yesterday it happened.
Yeah?
But I find that when I sit and breathe, watch the breathing get difficult.
explain what you mean with difficult.
It's not pain, it's the breathing. It seems that the breathing disappeared, and then I find that I'm like out of breath.
You're out of breath. The breathing disappears and you are out of breath. That means your sati is not strong enough to know what is actually going on.
So
the breathing does not disappear.
I know, and then after that, I find that I have to open my mouth.
I mean, sometimes when the breathing disappears, what can happen is that there's fear. But I mean, if your sati is not up to the point, to see, that there's a thought, I die, and that's why you do like this.
No, I try to overcome it by opening my mouth.
Yeah, but why do you overcome
Because but the noting it doesn't disappear.
it? It doesn't disappear. I mean,
So is it okay to open the mouth?
no. There's something else going on that you're not aware of. I mean, what? Now, that is an assumption, because I really don't know.
I become aware that
You become aware of what?
aware that this body, although it's mine, it's not mine.
Yeah, okay.
So because I cannot control it, I try to breathe.
Yeah.
Breathe.
Oh, you try to control the breathing.
I find that breathing becomes short and this more less.
So that means that you control the breathing.
I control the breathing.
Yeah. And that's why it gets a mess. Yeah. I mean, look at it. I'm not really sure what is happening. Yeah. But I mean, there are certain factors. Either you get afraid. Yeah. That the breathing disappears, or you try to control the breathing, and the breathing doesn't, just doesn't fit with your ideas. I mean, when you're normally walking through the town, I mean, you're not even aware of your breathing, and it never disappears. So, I mean, you must control it somehow. Yeah? And that's not good, the moment you see that you control it, let go. Yeah? I mean, the body breathes on its own. Yeah? Meditation is just being aware of the breath going in, going out, knowing that the breath is deep, knowing that the breath is shallow. Yeah? And I assume, your knowing about the breath is not yet strong enough. And your interest in the breath, yeah? You want to get to a certain result, and that is what, there's certain expectations, you want to get quiet or calm or so. Yeah? And that is controlling the situation. Yeah? Meditation is not anything about controlling. Yeah? It's observing. Yeah? When we know that the mind goes out, then we bring it back. That is where we control. Yeah? You just bring the mind back to the breath, yeah? And then let the breath be. Yeah? Or is it the Buddha, and then we bring it back to the Buddha, but let the Buddha be. Yeah?
So instead of watching the breath, I switch to Buddha.
No, you don't. You can still observe the breath, but you be more interested, because the same thing will happen then with the Buddha. Yeah? You lose your interest and you don't notice it. It's getting boring, and then the mind starts wandering. Back thoughts are coming up, yeah, and you're losing the breath, yeah, or the breath becomes really subtle, and then you lose the breath, yeah. The breath becomes very subtle, yeah? And if there's no knowingness about the breath, that's when you have the feeling that breath disappears. Yeah? That means you have to develop this knowingness about the breath, yeah, until the breath, as subtle as it is, yeah, you will know it very clearly, much clearer as in the beginning. It feels, yeah, I don't know how to express it, but it is so obvious. Yeah? Even if it's completely subtle. Yeah? You can't feel it anywhere in the nose, yeah? But it is so obvious that there is the breath. And then suddenly, yeah, because it is so subtle, the breath stops. And you know that the breath stops. And that's why most people get afraid. So, when you fall asleep, you're not afraid not to wake up, huh? You don't know if you wake up, huh? So why are you afraid, when the breath suddenly stops, huh? Huh? It's the same thing, so you should mentally prepare yourself, yeah? Whatever can die, whatever can vanish, let it vanish and let's see what's left over. In this you have to trust that there's something, that knows, yeah? And that knowingness, that will stay on. Yeah? Everything else can disappear. But before the breath really stops, the whole body already disappeared. Huh? So, if you just, people, the breath disappears, their interest in the breath disappears. And if you have no interest, you have no concentration. Yeah? 100% interest, and you might remember, when you really were interested in a subject, whatever was going on around you, even within the body, you didn't notice. Because your interest was in one object. Yeah? And everything around disappeared. And that is the same with the breath or with the Buddha. Everything else around disappears. Yeah? And before the breath really stops, all what you know is, this little area. Yeah? You don't feel the legs, you don't feel the arms, you don't feel the head, you don't feel anything. Yeah? It's just that part, where the breath is there and where the chitta is. Yeah? Until then, the breath disappears. Yeah? It stops. Yeah? And it is so clear, you can't even miss it. Yeah? And for most people, then, that's where, the fear appears, and then they open their mouth and breathe in heavily. Yeah? So then they have to start over, yeah? Until they can overcome this fear. Yeah? Until they can enter, one point of it. You're not afraid when you go to bed. You don't know if you wake up. Do you? You hope. Okay? Understood?
When I have visions of discontent, disease from the daily activities that I have done or have seen or heard, so should I go back to the breath, Buddha, or breath in, breath out, or look at the vision until it ceases away, then only come back to the breath?
And then, what do you think then will happen?
I tried both.
Huh?
I tried both before. If I go back to the breath, then the vision straight away gone, because I
That's
ignore
right.
it. Then
if you follow all these visions, then you're not meditating. Yeah?
how about I wait for until it ceases away,
No?
then come back?
No?
Instead, it will pull me away further, the chitta going up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basic, haven't you understood what I said? Concentration is concentration on one point. Huh? Whatever comes. Huh? The kilesas try to distract you. Yeah? Didn't I say that, with the children, you go in a shop with the children and the children want this, want that, constantly, and if they don't get it, they cry out loud so that we give it to them. Yeah? And it's the same thing. Your job is you sit down, yeah? Or you do walking meditation and there's nothing else than the Buddha or the breath, yeah? And that's it. And everything else that comes in are the kilesas. Huh? Is that clear? Everything. Yeah? And of course they want to bring up some guilt, they want to bring up some anger, they want to bring up, anything that excites you. Yeah? So they tease you, yeah? And you fall for it all the time. And when you fall for it, you don't get any concentration. You can't develop sati. Huh? And so don't go for it. When we do samadhi, we do samadhi. When we do investigation, we do investigation. And the same holds true for investigation. When we investigate the hair, we don't go to any other part. Yeah? When we investigate the whole body, then we stay with the whole body. Yeah? Whatever we aspire for, before we sit down or when we sit down, that's what we keep in mind. Yeah? And we don't go off that subject. Because going off that subject is the nature of the kilesas. They constantly want to go here, that's interesting, that's interesting. Then they ask, where did this, they bring up an image, and then they ask, where did that come from? That is amazing, where did that come from? Yeah? I mean, they bring it up, then they ask the question to make us interested. Yeah? Old memory. Yeah? No, the moment something comes up, we go back to the Buddha or go back to the breath. That's a way of practice, yeah? And that's how you get concentration. That's how you build up your concentration.
Ajahn, after reciting Buddha
Yeah.
for a while, and then suddenly the Buddha just slow down.
Yeah.
Instead, the breath, the breathing come up.
Yeah.
Very obvious, but it's a long breath, not a
Yeah.
So, what should I do? I go back to the Buddha or continue?
That is something that you have to try out for yourself. If you've done breathing before, then once the mind gets quiet, then our first kind of meditation that we did, before comes up, but then you should switch to the tip of the nose.
Full breath.
Huh?
I cannot concentrate on the tip. It's a full breath.
Yeah, but you need to have a point of concentration. And that is why it's so difficult. I mean, the kilesas don't like it. They always like something moving. Yeah? Yeah? So then go back to the Buddha. Yeah. Then go back to... Don't care about the breath.
But the breath is more obvious than the Buddha.
Yeah? Yeah. If you can keep, you can switch to the breath, if you have a focal point. If you don't have a focal point, stay with the Buddha, even if the breath, you will know the breath, don't worry about it, but you stay with the Buddha. You have a focal point, because if you have a focal point, you know exactly when the chitta goes out. If you don't have a focal point, if you don't have one point, you never know when the chitta goes out. When it is moving, when you follow some movement, you don't know when the chitta goes out. It can go out anytime. It is just like swimming in an ocean, you don't know where you're drifting to. You see all the water around you, you think you stay at the same time, yeah? But if you have a buoy there, you know if you're drifting south, north, west, east. Yeah? And then you go back, So you have to have a focal point, and that is the most important thing, yeah? Just concentrating, just this training of samadhi is so difficult. And you see, the mind doesn't want to stay put. It doesn't want to. And that's why we have to use the force. Right? We don't force it on that point, but we force it back. Yeah? And then you see it goes out in one thought, and it doesn't want to let go of this thought. It goes out into one memory and doesn't want to let go doesn't want to let go of this memory. That's where we have to force it, to let go of this memory, to let go of the thought, and to return back to the Buddha. We don't pressure, on that Buddha. Yeah? That is only, if you do it, only for a minute or 2 minutes, if the chitta is completely obnoxious, yeah, it doesn't want to focus at all. Yeah? Then you can push it a little bit. But if you push it too much, you get headache. Yeah? And then it's wrong. Yeah? You have to force it back, but you don't force it on that point. Come back. Here. That's all what is actually necessary. And it is a training, it's just like a training, just like walking. Learning to walk, it's a training like that. It's pretty much a physical training. Physical and mental training. I mean, how long did it take you to learn to walk? 1.5 years, yeah? But you did it nearly 24 hours a day, yeah? So, 1.5 years learning to concentrate, 24 hours a day. And then you can do it. And then you can run. But now we are old, we don't have the patience. 1 hour, 2 hours, oh, that's too much. Let me drink some coffee, let me rest a little bit. Let me read a little bit, yeah? We don't have this perseverance, that a little child has. The little child has much more perseverance, much more diligence than we as older people, yeah? I mean, we go to a meditation course, after 10 days we want to be enlightened, yeah? If it takes too long, we don't do it, yeah? Oh, this doesn't bring anymore, yeah? This method doesn't work, yeah? After 10 days, yeah? I mean, when we go to university, we know that we don't get the degree within 10 days, yeah? We have to work very hard for 4 years, yeah? Huh? But in meditation it should work, it should work, within 3 weeks, yeah? What kind of thinking is that, huh? It takes even longer, takes even much longer, yeah? I mean, a forest university degree, can take decades, yeah? Can take a whole life. Yeah?
Keep on staying with the Buddha. The moment you get up until you go to sleep, non-stop.
You have to speak up louder. Yeah.
You know the Buddha, if you keep on staying with the Buddha
Yeah.
all the time,
Yeah.
without stopping, you will notice that there's less thoughts coming in,
Yeah.
and the gap becomes shorter and shorter.
Yeah.
So your mind becomes brighter.
Yeah.
And your mindfulness also sharper.
Yeah.
That's what I noticed these few days happening.
Yeah, of course, that's how it should be. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what Lukta Mahabodh did, He said it doesn't allow the mind going out, from the Buddha. I mean, no matter if he was eating, no matter if he was sweeping, no matter if he was walking Chokram, yeah. I mean, he always stick to the Buddha. Yeah? But if you have to do some work, that requires thinking, you can't do it. Yeah? I mean, this time, if you have to read some books, and make an extract or type something in, then you can't do it. But any kind of work, like in the kitchen, cooking, you can do Buddha, yeah. I mean, washing, you can do Buddha, cleaning, you can do Buddha, yeah. But we are too lazy to do it, yeah. And then the gaps become smaller and smaller and smaller, and our attention becomes, greater, yeah. And then you see what is going on in the chitta. Yes, that is certainly the way.
What's the meaning Buddha?
Huh?
What's the meaning Buddha?
The Lord Buddha, yeah.
Buddha.
Yeah. Buddha is actually the nominative of the Buddha. Buddha is accusative.
Awaken.
Or the awakened one, yeah, the enlightened one, yeah.
It's the same as Buddha.
Yeah, it's the same as Buddha. Yeah. I think he should give the talks. He's so smart. He's always chipping in, yeah.
Book knowledge.
Ask me.
Buddha is the name of the Buddha, is it?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I just said. Buddha is a nominative. I mean, in Pali you have declination. You have nominative, you have genitive, you have dative, you have accusative, you have 6 cases, yeah? And Buddha is the nominative. They always use Buddha, yeah? I mean the accusative. Yeah. So, Buddha is the same as the Buddha. Yeah? But Buddha, to say Buddha, that it just doesn't follow, it doesn't go. So, Buddha, Dhammo, Sangho, yeah? I mean, they're all, you can interchange them, yeah? One sitting, Buddha, another sitting Dhammo if the Buddha gets to, yeah? Another sitting Sangho, yeah? And the Buddha, is the enlightened one, the teacher, yeah? The Dhammo is the teaching, yeah? And the Sangha or Sangho is the holy people, yeah? The Arya, yeah? I mean, sometimes some monks say, it's the group of monks. That's not true. Most of the monks are not enlightened. They are not Aryas, yeah? They're just like you. Yeah?
Ajahn, when they use the word Arya, that means they are the noble disciples
Yeah.
of Buddha. So those monks that are
They are not.
not in the street, they are not called Aryas.
They are not Aryas.
Monks. Is
They
that
are monks. Yeah? And there are even, there are even lay people who are Aryas. Yeah?
in the street?
Yeah, who entered the street. It's not impossible. At the time of the Lord Buddha, there were quite some few lay people, who entered the street. Yeah? So Arya is, the Arya Sangha, yeah? I mean, it's a community of all the noble beings, yeah? And it can be lay people and it can be monks, yeah? But of course the monks won't teach it, yeah? They won't like to say that lay people can be Aryas, they always want to be monks.
I got pictures of actual, from not a long time, of lay people, Arya, with their relics. And they are not very well known in Thailand.
I mean, I don't know. It can be, of course it can be. But, I mean, to be a lay person and be an Arahant, that is nearly impossible.
But I mean, they are lay person, but they are living in a condition of monks.
But it's still impossible. It's pretty much improbable. I mean, becoming an Arahant as a lay person.
Upasika Kinanayon, which has been
I mean,
organized.
if she's a Mechi, that is a different thing.
She was not.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, how can you ask me if I don't know this person? Huh? I mean, people say, they are relics, I mean, sometimes people bring me some bones and say they are relics, and I look at them, they're just bones. They're not relics. Huh? I mean, I have to see them in order to see if they are relics or bones. Everybody, I mean, and there's a big fuss about it, so that's why I don't want to get into discussion about it. If somebody is, yeah, I mean, if I know him personally, I mean, I probably can say something. Yeah? If they just tell me they are relics, yeah, I mean, yeah.
That is a monk of Ajahn of Lompo Jai Monastery, who brings some devotees to see them, to encourage them to meditate.
Yeah, I mean, yes, maybe that is a way to encourage them. Yeah, I mean, what I say and what I know also from the scriptures, I mean, to become an Arya as a layperson is possible. Yeah, you can become a Sotapanna, Sakadagami. To become an Anagami is already very difficult, and to become an Arahant is nearly impossible. I don't say it is impossible. I said it's nearly impossible.
Reflecting on that, I could think, but that maybe if a person can have the same condition of life than a monk,
yeah,
he can.
But he cannot have the same training. He has to have the same training. I mean, the same condition doesn't lead. I mean, all the monks in my monastery have the same condition, but one is better and the other is not better. Yeah. I mean, the condition alone, doesn't make, I mean, you need to have the same teaching, you need to have the same training, yeah? Condition is one thing, training is another thing.
And Kinanayon, she had only the books of Ajahn Chah and Buddhadasa. It's incredible.
If she had the Buddhadasa books, then I don't believe anything.
But Lungta Mahabua recognized her and sent her student.
I don't know. I mean, that is all hearsay. Huh? Who told you that? Huh? I mean, in Thailand, all these gossip, all this gossip, I mean, I heard so much that in the end I closed my ears, What I don't see, I don't recognize, I don't believe. But that's not a discussion we should lead, I mean, huh? If this person or that person, I mean, it really doesn't matter. Yeah? what I say, it is possible, you know, that a layperson gets an Arya. Yeah? So that's enough for you. Yeah? Isn't that? Isn't that? Huh? So you can, if you put your effort and diligence and perseverance in the right direction. Yeah? So get into it, you know, and then you can maybe talk about other people. Yeah? I mean, other people, you know, whatever their kind of money is of no interest to me. It's their money, it's not my money. What they have achieved to or not achieved to, what they think, yeah. Most of the people think they have achieved to something, yeah, and in the end they have achieved to nothing, just to a thought, memory. So please don't come up with these stories about, you know, I mean, because I heard them over 22 years, yeah. This person is an Arahant, you know, and then they showed me the relics and they were bones. They were not relics, but they believed it. And whatever people believe, that is the truth. Huh? And that is where our danger lies. You know, whatever we believe in so hard, yeah, is the truth for us. You can't convince them otherwise. It is impossible. You can show them, you can argue with them, you know, they won't believe it. And they did it so often. Huh?
But relics and bones are
Yeah,
not
that
the
is
same.
whatever. You know, I mean, that is what you saw, and if you believe it, you know, it's fine. Yeah, it's the truth for you. Yeah. I don't know it. I don't know it. And I can't comment on it, because I don't know. Yeah. What I don't know, I can't comment on. Yeah.
That's right. And even for non-Arya could have relics too, right?
No.
No. So that means
Only an Arahant, yeah, or an Anagami in the last stage can have relics.
Anagami also at the last stage can have a relics.
Yeah.
because a monk told me that even during Buddha time, before Buddha enlightenment, that is relics exist. And there's no
that
truth yet.
that would be complete. You know, relics is something that is very special. Yeah? And relics, according to my understanding of what my teacher said, can only be produced if the body is pure, if the body has been purified. So it can mean if somebody, became an Arahant today and dies today, that he doesn't produce any relics because he has not purified the body. But an Anagami could have purified his body, if he was long enough, Doesn't necessarily mean, if you become an Arahant today and you die tonight, that your bones will become relics. There are two factors. First of all, the first factor is, the purification of the body, and then the second factor is the trust or the belief of the lay people in this person, and the third factor is the sattva of the devas. That together forms the relics.
Could you please explain the sattva of the deva?
Yes, sattva is the belief, the trust, the faith.
Yeah, but in the deva...
Yeah, the devas are the ones who controlling them. That all three needs to go together.
Deva come and trust the person.
No, the devas are going to change. Yeah.
As the deva will change. Really?
Yeah, they are going to change. Yeah, together with the purity, but they can only change it, if it's pure. Yeah. That is my understanding, from what Lungta Mahabua said, or what I understood what Lungta Mahabua said. In these things I can be wrong, because I really don't know, but that it sounds to me very, very obvious. Bones cannot become relics if there's no other power behind it, yeah? But it needs also the faith of the people, yeah? Lungta Mahabua said, he had relics of Luang Pu Man, but he had bone fragments of Luang Pu Man. They never turned into relics. The moment he gave it to faithful people, it took just 1 month, to turn them into relics. Yeah? Because Lungta Mahabodhi was never interested in this kind of things, yeah? So I mean, what's the point, yeah? So that's why you see, a lot of things come together, in order to form these relics, yeah? And that's why they are so special, yeah? And that's why they are so hard to find. Okay, understood? I had to forget about this topic, because I'm not firm in it.
Is it necessary or important for us to venerate the relics?
Venerating the relics, if you have faith in the relics, what are the relics from, yeah? If you know who the teacher was, and you venerate the teacher, then venerate the relics, yeah? Yes, it is good, they have if was a good teacher, like Lungta Mahabodhi, they have lots of power. The energy, the energy that is stored in these relics, yeah? The energy that is stored in the relics of the Buddha, it is enormous. So, if you don't venerate it, you don't get any part of it, yeah? But if you know who was the teacher, and you know what he was teaching, yeah, and have his relics, that's great, yeah? Venerate them, yeah? Just pay respect to the relics just the same way as you pay respect to the Buddha. Yeah? What can happen, in time, what can happen, if you have relics, somebody gave you these relics, yeah, and you don't venerate them, they can disappear. Yeah? Yeah? One lady had Lumpur Man's relics, three of them, yeah? And another was she was in Ubon, another one was in Udon, and she had only one relic, and she wished for two other relics, for the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. And a week later she had 3 relics, and the other lady had just 1. So, finish this topic. That is not important for us. Important for us is to get our concentration. We always like, these things.
Go outside.
Yeah. That is, look at you, you suddenly get so interested, yeah? When I talk about meditation practice,
It's inspiring.
no, it's not inspiring. If it would inspire you to practice, you would be finished by now. It is inspiring to hear because we love to hear these stories. Yeah? Yes, of course, reading some of the suttas, yeah, of the Lord Buddha in the Majjhima Nikaya, in the Middle East, yeah, it is really inspiring, but it is so hard to practice. What's the point? If a book doesn't inspire you to practice, it's worthless reading it. But we love to hear these stories, yeah? Oh, so nice, isn't it? And we are saved in the same shit house, yeah? You're in a hole, you're in a hole of shit, and you're constantly eating this shit, and then somebody, then you wake up, you come above it, breathe through, and then you hear these exciting stories, and after these exciting stories you go down.
Oh, you meditate.
Oh.
Oh, I sit down and meditate because I'm inspired.
That I want to see, yeah?
I do.
Yeah, that's what I want to see, yeah?
And how do you think I'm doing when I'm at home, alone, on my own?
Where are these ladies going? Food. It's all for the body. Don't act. If you want to stay longer in Wat Phu Kong Thong, don't act. Yeah, they are inspiring, but we have to practice, yeah? We have to make our citta pure, yeah? When I started to read Lungta Mahabo's books, they're all about practice. Yeah? You can read 4 pages and then it forces you to sit down and practice. Yeah? I mean, that's okay. Yeah? But just hearing stories about others, becoming arahants, or, in this way or in that way, I mean, we are not these kind of people. Yeah? We are workers in a coal mine, we have to get our way up to the daylight. Yeah? When we are in the daylight, I mean, then we might be able to see things. Yeah? But we're still down in the dark, yeah? And the kilesas love to keep us in the dark, yeah? But they're bringing up all these nice images. Huh? And then we call them nimittas. Oh, what is the meaning of this image? And what is the meaning of that image? Yeah? So they keep us in the dark. Yeah? It's just like, in the dark, yeah? These fireflies, fireflies? They blink in the dark, And when you watch them from afar, you think it's light in the house, it's some light in the houses. Yeah? A lot of people got killed, following these lights, yeah? And that's the kilesas bringing up all these fireflies, and you think, So practice. I mean, what else do you have to do, huh? What do you want from this life? That is a question you should ask yourself. Yeah? Nearly every day in the beginning, until you really have a firm conviction what you want to do. Yeah? Then follow your goal. Yeah? If you want to stay in the hamster wheel, that's fine with me. At least paint it golden, and put some curtains in, yeah? Maybe some shelf and a wardrobe for your books, and for your clothes, yeah? At least make it nice, yeah? But you're not going anywhere. If you think, I prepare myself so that in the next life, I can practice, forget about it. That's never going to work out. If you want to practice in your next life, really serious, then you can't stop practicing in this life. Because that's the only thing, that gives you the opportunity to practice in your next life. If you say, this life, I have so many things to do, I will practice in the next life, forget about it. You will not practice in your next life. Whatever we do, we have to start right now and don't give up. Be it keeping the precepts, yeah? We have to start right now. I can't say, next week, this week, still don't want to keep the precepts. Yeah? You have to keep it from right now on. Yeah? That's it. And then keep it until the end of your day. Yeah? The same as practicing. No matter how much you practice, but continuous practice, yeah? Every day. Yeah? And it is good, if you're practicing at home, it is good if you have a separate room or a separate corner where you take a Buddha root, yeah? A Buddha statue, yeah? Or maybe your relics, if you have any relics, put them there. And before you sit down, you pay respect to the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. And then you start to practice. But it should be always the same place. You can light some candles if you want, or incense. No matter, that is up to the individual. But you should have, at your house, one corner, or one room, if you have a large house, where you only do this. Not in your eating place. In the kitchen or in the bedroom, yeah? And then you practice every day. And there's one thing that is really, really important, yeah? And I stress it over and over again, is this daily reflection. What did I do? When I was waking up, what did I think? Yeah? What did I do then? Yeah? What did I think? What did I say? What did I do? And what kind of effects did it have? That makes us human beings, reflection. Being self-conscious, knowing what one is doing, knowing what the effects are. But when we do this daily reflection, we pass through the whole day. If you can't remember everything, that is fine. Then just skip to the next point. The important thing is not to judge. Don't say it's good, bad, because then you're off the track. Just seeing like in a movie, just like somebody, put a camera that runs for 24 hours, and then you just watch it, and you see it. And that makes, and let the heart see it, because the heart is the only thing that can understand it. And then you see, what you're doing. And I promise you, you will forget it. You still do it? See? The kilesas don't like it. They don't like this reflection. You do it? Every day?
Ajahn, I recite the daily 5 reflections every day, in the morning and in the evening. I think it helps a lot in my life, in the sense that when I'm lonely or something like that, then I will think of this. Whatever that is beautiful and sad, and loved ones and everything will be separated from me. And then this thing I will just let go. Otherwise, sometimes you will be dwelling, I miss somebody like that. Then I say, separation is there. Anytime we'll be separated. And then I will come back to my own self again. And I will always tell myself that, there's this aging, sickness and death. Whatever that's pleasing, loving, wealth and everything, one day will be separated from me. So I always reflect on this. So I'm beginning to let go. It has a very strong impact.
Yes, it can have a strong impact, but you still do the reflection, what you are doing. That's even more difficult.
But you have to put this in the mind, to remind the mind.
Yeah.
Tell the mind that, okay, all these things are dangerous, don't get near them. Otherwise, that is, precaution. But you should let the heart know what is dangerous. That is the mind, the mind can prohibit a lot of things, but it cannot convince the heart that the heart still likes to do it. So you have to convince the heart. If you convince the mind, it is easy convinced. But the heart is the one, who does the things. The one is that what wants, what desires, The mind says, it's not good, but the heart desires and wants to do it. but the thing is, when you have the mindfulness to know this, and then
but you try to control the heart with the mind, and that is not working, because the things arise from the heart. So you have to convince the heart that it is not good. And you can only convince the heart that it is not good by showing it how it is not good. And this showing is very difficult, And that's what we do in the reflection. When we look at our own actions, our own words, our own behavior, our own thoughts, that's where the heart understands what it is doing. But the moment you judge, that's where the mind takes over. When you say this is good or this is bad, then the mind takes over and the heart is closed. That's difficult.
Let me get you. So you mentioned us to do the reflection every day. Evening or
Well, whatever time you feel comfortable with.
So we just only look down like a movie without any judgment.
That's right.
Okay. Can we put it down?
You want to write it down? No.
Yes.
No. That is too much. And if you can't remember, one thing, just skip it over. Try to remember. If it doesn't come within 3 seconds, go to the next step. it will have an impact within. If you do that daily, yeah, and if you do it, if you are able to do, 50% of it, of your day, I mean, it will have within 1.5 years, it will have a great impact. That's where it changes, but not with the mind, it changes from the heart. If the heart doesn't want it, I mean, the mind can want it and so whatever, but you don't do it.
The end result would be simplification of lifestyle,
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I guess.
Suddenly you have lots of time.
Yes.
Because all the things that are unnecessary, I mean,
Yes.
they are all rooted out. I mean, I used to work as a scientist, my timetable was full, Until I started a year later, I had time. I mean, I had meetings there until 9 o'clock, until 10 o'clock in the evening, yeah? And a year later I didn't have any meeting at all, the whole week. Except, within the work, Because they all, all unnecessary, I mean, it all bothers the heart, yeah? And there was no really results, no fruits from it coming. I mean, in Malaysia, you have to book in advance half a year, yeah? I mean, you don't know what is happening in half a year. You cannot be spontaneous, yeah? People in the West cannot be spontaneous, yeah? When can I meet you? Maybe, in 3 weeks, on that day, at that time, there's a free spot, yeah? I mean, that is very spontaneous, huh? I want to meet you now. Do you have time? Yes, sure. Huh? No, sorry. Meet me in 3 weeks. Huh? And that's where we get, more and more unconditioned. When we do this daily reflection, I mean, it keeps, keeps out all these unnecessary things, and then we have more free time. All the things there. And when we have free time, then we are spontaneous. We can do anything. Is she smiling half? Yeah. Okay? Why do you look at your watch?
No, when you say okay, maybe it's finished.
What?
No, when you say okay, then I thought it's a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have more questions, it's finished. So the important thing is, keep up your practice, daily practice, yeah? And keep up the reflection. Yeah? That makes us human. Yeah? If you know what we are doing and why we are doing and what results it has, then we are becoming a human being. Otherwise, we are just a robot who works on his programs. Yeah? You like to be a robot? Seems so.
Been.
Okay.
Just remind me of movie Matrix.
What reminds you?
A movie called Matrix.
Yeah. What is?
It's about everyone is living in the world being programmed in the Matrix.
Yeah.
So at the end, one of them taken a blue pill out of the system, out of the Matrix system. So he can see through, he can go through the matrix and can come out, can know everything in the world is being controlled by the program.
Yeah, it is. I mean, this is. Yeah, this is similar.
It's a Buddhist who designed this movie.
Yeah. Like, I mean, no matter if you call it matrix or if you call it a video game.
Yeah.
You're in the video game. Every one of you is in the same video game, and you just act. Yeah. Just like the different characters act in the movie, yeah? And there's only a certain set of rules that you have, yeah? So you have to follow these rules.
Not many can understand this. in the dream.
They think they have a free will, yeah, but
That's called awakening. Many still sleeping.
yeah. So tonight you give the talk, yeah. I mean, he's so much smarter than me. I don't know all these things. Yeah, he knows all these things.
After I heard, I realized something. Sadhu.
And you better keep your mouth shut. Yeah? Otherwise, I have to think. You can stay on. I mean, just do your practice, then you can stay on.